Hello and welcome to the European e-commerce week. We are not in the studio today, but we are spread around Europe. Today, our focus is Germany e-commerce market, and we have released a Germany e-commerce report early this year. In this report is available on the website, and you have the link in your webinar information. Today, we want to summarize the report and look how it changed after the publication. And the main risk is that after COVID, pandemic, lockdown, unlock, and relock, see how it affected the economies and e-commerce market, looking through the Christmas pixels. It is my pleasure to have today with me two amazing guests. We have Dani Moschke, which is digital strategist at Tilium, and Carsten Brussel, which is head of business development at Blending Markets. So welcome. And Dani, where are you today?
So I'm based out of Berlin, and I work as a digital strategist for Tilium, which is a leader in the field of customer data orchestration. And we are most famous for our tech management system, Tilium IQ, but also for our CDP audience stream. And I work with customers on making the most out of these components and helping them to make their online marketing more efficient.
Okay, thank you. And then, Carsten, where are you and how can Blending Markets fit into this webinar today?
I am based in Kassel in Germany as well. This is where the Blending Markets headquarters are as well. We're based out of here, and we are a classic multi-channel aggregator tool. So we specialize at our core into multi-channel listing, as in marketplaces, your Amazon, eBay, as well as different shop systems, and our included shop system as well, which is natively included in Plenty Markets. We don't stop there. We also have a WMS tool, an OMS tool, and a CRM tool integrated into the software.
Okay, thank you both. And just for the record, I'm actually in Italy, so we're a bit far, but thanks to technology, we can have this nice discussion together. If we want to move to the presentation, you can see today we are going to speak about Germany e-commerce update. And Germany, it is one of the largest European e-commerce markets. And it is the leader in the Logistic Performance Index. In fact, it ranks on the first position. Home delivery is the most preferred delivery type, while bank transfer is the most preferred payment type. Cross-border sales are lower compared to other e-commerce markets and countries because German consumers prefer purchasing from national retailers. It is important to know that when you want to enter the German e-commerce market, shoppers prefer sites to be in German and to have a .de domain. As we can see, the main two slides are about preferences and drivers. So share of payment methods offered by businesses is led by bank transfer, payment on account and invoice, and prepayment. The main drivers of online purchases is direct delivery to home and available around the clock. The cheaper prices is also on the top 5 of drivers for online purchases. And we will see later on that German consumers tend to be more prudent while shopping online. I have some questions for you too to this slide. And the main one is, what do you see as the main characteristics that define Germany's e-commerce market? If you can give your opinions on that, both to Dani and Carsten.
I mean, I can definitely start. So, as you already mentioned, the German market is one of the largest in Europe and also amongst the 5 largest in the world. Yeah. So it is definitely attractive for foreign providers. 2019 was a record year for the German e-commerce market, with many multi-channel providers having a substantial increase. And e-commerce in general accounts for more than 10% of retail sales already. On the other hand, as you mentioned, Germans are a little bit more prudent. So they also have a lot of concerns when it comes to the security of their personal data. So this will definitely be a challenge going forward to personalize the experience, but on the other hand, to respect the data security of the German consumers, to be able to market to them in the most efficient way, but also be a trusted brand within the German market.
Okay, Carsten, what's your point of view on that?
I think I can second what Danny said. One thing I have to add, as to 2019 being one of the strongest year in e-commerce, I think 2019 will top that by quite a margin. And what we have seen in the online world is that those prudent online shoppers are okay to go new ways now as well, because they have been forced to, which is not a bad thing. And we have seen a lot of digitalization in Germany in the last couple of months that hasn't happened in the last 10, 15 years. So there's a lot going on at the moment, and there will be a lot going on moving forward in those respects. The online market, I think, is down to convenience and continuity for the Germans. So if the Germans buy products in one online store, they'll keep it that way. And if they are okay to change their channels where they buy, they expect it to have the same functionality, features, and convenience as the old channel had. And this is one thing. And I think one thing you mentioned already, Ludovica, is the preferred payment methods, the preferred domain names, or top-level domains, and the preferred language. And this is all a part of the German market being one of the biggest in Europe. The German customer has the choice. And if you can't offer what they are looking for, and this might not be down to product, but it might be down to their way of shopping, they will go elsewhere, and they can.
Okay, thank you. That was really interesting. And yeah, in fact, as you can see, delivery preferences is always important to German consumers, as you both mentioned. And the top two are being able to choose to play the place of delivery and time. So I can agree with you, Carsten, when you say that if another website provides the same services, maybe German consumers are willing to move from one online shop to another one. If we move then to online shopping devices, laptops is always the one that remains on the top ranking for online shopping. But we saw in the last year, above all, that e-commerce and mobile internet is gaining more and more importance over time. We can see that clothing and shoes rank the top. So consumers are willing to buy these categories by mobile, but also books and plane tickets. I have a short question for you too, like when it comes to e-commerce, what are the main trends you see among German consumers?
I think I can go first again. So I think it is definitely increasing, and I mean, more and more people are having mobile devices that are connected to the internet, and where the screens are like large enough to actually make a purchase. But I think it still depends on the product and the service. So people, for example, when they are commuting, not so much in 2020, but definitely before, and when business is getting a little bit more back to normal, are using the mobile phones definitely for information gathering. But I think the more complex the decision-making process is to purchase a product or a service, at least the Germans then to prefer a larger screen, or even the purchase in store with a person in front of them to explain maybe the details about the product or the service. The more difficult it gets that it's done via a mobile device. So I think this comes down to the fact that businesses need to simplify their processes to make the shopping via mobile devices more easy, so that even for more complex products and services, where you have to consider multiple different information, that you really make it easy for them to, for one, explain what they are going through, but to really finalize it on the mobile device, so that they do not have to maybe switch to another screen or to go in a store, because this is another chance for them to abandon the process and maybe buy with one of your competitors.
Yeah, what's your opinion on that, Carsten? Do you agree with Danny and the trends within shopper consumers when it comes to e-commerce?
I have to say, I'm the German prototype myself, right? And every stereotype you have about German shoppers, I actually fit into that very, very well. And it didn't help though that I lived in the UK for quite a while, so I changed behavior, and I had to learn that again when I came back to Germany. The e-commerce part is something where I give my information away on a mobile phone, which I'm afraid of still, right? So it's new technology. It's not something I'm used to. Younger generation, yes. Older generation, not so much. And they are only adapting to it now. This is, I think, one big reason why we see an uprise in the e-commerce part. The other thing is, as Danny said, is ease of use. As with the apps of the big marketplaces, I have all information in there, all payment information in there, address in there. I can make a purchase, and I can make the research directly on the mobile phone. And the Germans like to research quite thorough when they want to buy something, or like a bigger purchase, really, which I think even in clothes and shoes and plane tickets, this is something which is on the rise, but this is a bigger purchase, and therefore will not actually top the computer, laptop, anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. If we move to the right side of the slide, we can see the frequency of online shopping. It is important to state that internet usage in Germany is really high. We have 95% of internet usage, which is one of the highest in Europe. But also e-shoppers usage is really high in Germany. In fact, we have 85%. The frequency is that most people tend to buy at least every 2 weeks or at least once a month. It is a slight difference, at least once a week. So the consumers buy something every week, which is very different from 2 weeks and once a month. You were mentioning before the major shoppings, and in fact we have a nice graphs here, because as we mentioned before, German consumers tend to be prudent due to data, but also to prices when shopping online. In fact, 41% of respondents often compares prices when shopping online, and only like 37% always check and compare prices when shopping online. I think this is interesting because we can see here the main difficulties or maybe concerns that German consumers can have while shopping online. So how can you interpret this graph, or do you agree, being German, that you compare prices or not?
I think we do. We do quite often, and I often have this discussion with my family as well. And if you look at that, 78% often or always compare prices online. I mean, there's a reason we have at least 10 price comparison websites in Germany that all are used and are being filled with products. Because the Germans not only research for product features, but if they decided for a product, they will go and find the best deal. They will do it silently, right? So they will not go into a shop and ask for a deal, but they will go into the internet, or they will go into brick and mortar stores and see where they can get the product cheaper. even if it means I'll take 2, 3, 4 hours of research for a 20 euro product, it doesn't matter. If I got it for 19.50, then that's perfectly fine. So I got the best deal out of it.
Okay.
So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What's your point, Danny? Do you do the same being German, or do you not find yourself in this crowd?
Yeah, and in that respect, I think all Germans are similar. I mean, as Carsten already said, I mean, there's so many like knowledge and tools out there to compare prices, and you get always also encouraged by these meta searches to compare the prices and value for money and everything. So and Germans, as they are also prudent when it comes to data privacy, they also look at getting the best deal for their money. It's not necessarily that they do not want to spend money at all. It is really about getting the value. And I mean, made in Germany is also like kind of a standard that we say, okay, we look after high quality, and this is also why we compare. I would say not only prices, but also like the service or the product that comes with it. So, and that is why I think it is just normal for us to see, okay, it's not just one store in maybe the village or the town that I live in that I go to and I purchase it from them, no matter what the cost is, because I do not have any reference. And since we have all that information delivered to us via the internet, I think we are more and more also enabled to make use of that. And that is why we are comparing prices. And I think this is for the best for everybody. It's best for the businesses, and it's best for the consumers.
Okay, thank you. We move now to a different story. Like COVID-19 hit very hard our daily life, but maybe it was a good way to boost e-commerce market and services. We can see that the most category that has been bought online while the lockdown, it was clothing, health products, and books. I can see that from this graph, we saw that German consumers wanted to entertain themselves while being locked down. And other products that have been purchased the most is, of course, hygiene products to keep themselves safe, and also delivery and takeaway. I have a quick questions, and we saw that most countries saw a massive uptick in the amount of physical stores that opted to enter the online market during the coronavirus outbreak to survive in a way. Did you notice this shift in Germany as well, or you saw something else?
We saw that in Germany as well, especially with us, as we provide the multi-channel and online shopping part, as well as the fulfillment capacities or fulfillment procedures you might need. We have seen a huge uptake in your classic brick and mortar store, and like the really old known stores that are now going online in two different ways as well. One is bringing their business online and are starting to sell online, as well as opening themselves up and be in marketplaces. So there have been a lot of businesses that now think about or already started becoming a marketplace in the near future, or already have launched to expand their offering to their consumers, and hopefully get a bigger market share.
Okay.
I can definitely echo that. So yes, we have seen definitely an uptick, because the businesses, they want to be prepared and need to be prepared for a case that is maybe similar to what COVID did to the whole economy. And even after the pandemic, like when there's vaccines, the working from home aspect will also be important, because when due to the pandemic, more and more people are working from home, and of course, some will get back to the offices, but it will be less than before the pandemic. So people will spend more time at home. which means on the other hand that they will spend less time commuting or outside on the road, at least during the week. So they have simply not the chance to purchase in a physical store anymore, and therefore will spend then the time maybe in the evening to shop online and get it delivered to their homes. So even if businesses have not yet started to be more digital and move their businesses online, it's definitely a need to do so to be prepared for the future here.
Okay, thank you. We will see now some difficulties that the businesses face during this crisis. The first one is the problems in performing their services, followed by no change, which is actually good because it means that they were already ready to support all the shipment and the issues that the coronavirus brought. But 15% of businesses saw a cancellation in their orders. And the consequences that we saw at the very beginning of COVID-19, so we will see later in the year that maybe these consequences can be changed, is that they had delivery delays or cancellations and revenue decline. Something that is really sad is to see that there was a partial or complete closure due to quarantine. And if you can give some strategies or some advices to retailers and businesses during this health crisis, what will it be?
I mean, when it's what I saw amongst businesses is that, like, independent from, okay, there can be delays because more and more people are shopping online, and this so they need to adjust their processes internally to handle the amount of data that is coming through, the amount of deliveries and everything. But what I see from a marketing perspective is that these businesses are trying to align their strategies to find a common theme that resonates with the consumers during the pandemic and the COVID crisis. So businesses, and that is a good business move in my opinion, is they want to emphasize the health aspects in their products and services more than anything else. So that really resonates with the with what like consumers are going through right now, and what the feelings are about during this pandemic. They more think about their health and their security on the outside, and also not only like when they're shopping online. So the good strategy there is to give the consumers the impression, if they like decide for a product or a service of your brand, that they're doing something not only positive for themselves, but are also supporting the greater good. And I think this is a good way of like expanding your current marketing strategy, and is also supporting the greater good in general, when like encouraging the consumers also not to look after themselves, but also after their community.
Okay. And your advice is, Carsten, like,
I think Danny is perfectly right there. The health aspect is becoming more important, and it will stay more important. From my side, there's two things I would put into a strategy, and that's one is the supply chain, the other one is competitor monitoring. As I said, there will be more and more companies going digital now, so they're entering into e-commerce. That means there's all of a sudden more competition online now as well. So you need a strategy to build your own USP amongst all the other companies that are selling online, as well as potentially be present on as many channels as you can potentially. So go onto all marketplaces that might make sense for you. Might it be for presence, or might it actually be for sales? So you can actually just display your products and services anywhere. If you then have a strong USP with your products, that will certainly help. On the other hand, we have seen in the beginning of lockdown, we have seen the amount of orders that have been processed by our merchants has succeeded the Christmas business of last year by a large margin, actually. So from that perspective, your whole supply chain might that be the delivery delays for restocking that needs to be put into perspective, as well as you need to be able to handle an uptake of orders, because that will be essentially the killer of every business. When you're out of stock, okay, you can restock, potentially search for a new product. But if you can't get the products out of your warehouse, you can't get them to your customer, that will result in negative ratings on marketplaces and will get you blocked or banned, or negative reviews. People won't buy as much from you. So this is something that is often not really regarded as important, as people try more and more channels, but they don't have the infrastructure behind it to actually fulfill what they're selling. This is a huge advantage if you have the infrastructure to scale your business on the fulfillment side, on any server side, or anything that needs scalability after all.
Okay, thank you. And if we want to see what we learn after the publication, it is that, Germany e-commerce market still ranks in one of the strongest in Europe, which is always good to know. So also for new web shops that want to enter the Germany market, it's good to know that the e-commerce market is still growing, and the delivery type and type have been improved, even if it was already the highest in Europe. But since the outbreak of COVID-19, businesses were able to fulfill all the orders, which is always good for web shops. And COVID-19 is still hitting hard the country, Germany, but we need to keep an eye and see the future development of possible lockdown and unlock. I have maybe 2 or 3 questions more, but I'm happy to also hear your opinions generally, or if you want to investigate another topic. First of all, sustainability is gaining importance every time and every year. How do you see German consumers facing sustainability and green processes to get their purchases? Danny, what's your point of view?
So I think sustainability is definitely a huge differentiator nowadays. So more and more businesses emphasize their sustainability in the products they're selling, or the things that they produce the products with, so that they have their ecological footprint is not as high as before. So many Germans also from inspired by also the by developments when it comes to climate change. So many people are more and more aware of sustainability, and Germans definitely adapt to this. So they're looking for products and services that are manufactured or delivered in an ecological way, and make sure that even if they do something for their own benefit, that they're not harming the planet or the environment that they live in or where this is produced. So I think there is more and more also feeling for sustainability, but in my personal opinion, it can be more emphasized even above that, so that it is also because there's always the mixture that at the moment when something is sustainable, produced and delivered, that this is at the moment usually more pricey than things delivered in a traditional way. So we need to make sure that businesses and services also look after not so wealthy consumers, so that they also have the chance to do something for the greater good and buy into the concept of sustainability, because I believe everybody is interested in a sustainable lifestyle, but on the other hand, unfortunately, it is hard to actually make it happen from a price point of view. So sustainability is definitely important. We need to emphasize it more, but we also need to make it affordable for the consumers in order to adapt to this shift.
Yeah, and do you think, Carson, that consumers are willing to pay more to have a sustainable ship to their house, or maybe not really?
On the shipping part, is always the question if you can afford it, and the Germans are known for not willing to pay for shipping at all.
Okay.
So Germans will pay 20 euros for a product, including shipping, apart from 16 euros plus 350 shipping, which would be 50 cents cheaper. They wouldn't do it. They would buy the one for 20 euros, including shipping. I think there's other ways to embrace the sustainability. We had carriers use a green or a CO2 neutral shipping for, I think, even decades now. And it's growing stronger and stronger, really. On the delivery side, I think there's different approaches to it already on sustainability, but we're not on the mainstream with that yet. On the average consumer, we can't reach them with those possibilities yet. And I think it needs from the bigger carriers and bigger online shops. There needs to be initiatives, and they just need to do it, so the consumer can then potentially decide if they will do it or if they won't do it. And if it's not a big change, and if they can actually afford it, I think a lot of consumers will be willing to pay a little bit extra to make the whole e-commerce shopping a little bit more sustainable, as well as buying sustainable products. There's really good options out there, but they are not on the main market yet, I think.
Okay, I see. Because we also, in our German e-commerce report, we cover a case study about click and collect, which is actually maybe a good way to shift to a more sustainable way of online shopping. Do you see this rise as well in click and collect options when it comes to deliveries or not?
I think this is something that has been discussed by the beginning of the year as the next big step. That we can address the elephant in the room, and that will be DHL, because I think 80% of all German e-commerce orders will be fulfilled by DHL, where DHL has a massive problem with the increased demand in e-commerce. So the last mile delivery is something that will change over the next couple of months, maybe a year or two. There will be, or we will see, a major change in the last mile delivery, and a concept similar to click and collect will most probably be the solution, where all those little parcel shops you have everywhere will be the central hub for your e-commerce orders, or for all your parcels shipped, and you can just get there and get your parcel. This will help a lot in for one, going a bit greener, of course, because the delivery trucks don't have to go around the city. They don't clog up the cities, and you can get your parcel at a for you convenient time. So it has a lot of benefits to actually get this change done in the near future.
Okay.
Actually, for me, there's not much there. I think this summarized the topic perfectly. I think click and collect is a good starting point, but I also definitely prefer that last mile kind of pickup concept, because there's many ideas also around the last mile and how to deliver parcels within let's say also urban and village regions, to make sure that it's CO2 neutral at least. But the convenience, of course, there's a convenience in having it delivered, but I think there is even more maybe in general, not the convenience, but also the sustainability is higher when you just pick it up in these central hubs and parcel shops, when it's convenient for you, and you can save on all the cost and resources when it comes to trying to deliver it maybe a couple of times or handing it to your neighbors and they're not there when you are back, and so on and so forth. So I think that concept definitely is the way to go for the future.
Okay, thank you then for your thoughts and comments. I want to remind our guests that they can download the report via retailx.net. It's the Germany-2020, and it is free for the retailers and brands. We will be back in the series just after Christmas, so early February, for another snapshot of how e-commerce is growing and also some figures about 2021. We are always happy to hear your comments and to help us conducting research. So tell us what you want to see covered in the next year report. And continuing the webinar week, we will have session on the UK and e-delivery top 500. I really want to thank you, Danny Moschke from Tilium and Karstel Brussel from Planning Markets, for being here today with us. And so thank you so much and have a nice day.
Thank you for having us.